Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Meaty boys brawling, no holds barred bout. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman? One more, you know what I mean?
Tune in the vibe.
Guard on the mic tonight. News coming in left and right. Oh, better with the latest fight. Gene's got that insight tight. Champions rise and they fall. Wire to wire, got it all. Every move in every brawl. Tune in for the curtain call. Wrestling talk all night long. Catch the latest match and song. Ring the bell, let's get it on. Every story bright and strong. In the ring they clash and roar. New rivalries and so much more. Titles change and legends lore.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Guard 3, and welcome to the Meaty Boys podcast. And whether you're watching YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, I appreciate everybody who's about to tune in. But of course, couldn't do any of this without the greatest co-host of all time. He is Mo Betta. How you doing, Mo?
I'm doing great on a great Tuesday night. Getting ready to talk some wrestling.
No, absolutely. And, it's going to be a great week for wrestling, Mo. It's a pay-per-view week. We have Backlash coming up this Saturday. And, of course, we're going to talk, Backlash. But, first I did want to throw something out there. Obviously, there were mass, releases, that just happened this past week. And I just want to throw it out there. I hope that everybody who got released lands at their feet, and I just want to wish everybody the best of luck. Whatever happens next, there's a lot of great talent that I think will have no problem finding their footing.
I agree with that. In particular, I do think there's still value for somebody who's as talented as Dakota Kai. There's a role in professional wrestling for Braun Strowman, the big man. And there's a lot of talented people that got released. So I'm with you. I hope they can continue their wrestling dream and get picked up by another federation and make their way back.
Yeah, absolutely. I really did feel bad for, Braun. Like, this is a guy who's 40, he's 41 years old. Unfortunately, it looked like, his knees kind of looked like they're about, giving out on him. It looked like he was starting to struggle to move a bit. But, that didn't stop him from helping, put over the next wave of monsters. This is the guy that made Bronson Reed look like $1 million.
Right.
Jacob Fatu looked like $1 million after, working with Braun. So, on to other names that I think will be a lot of, draw a lot of intrigue. Cora Jade from NXT. She's only 24 years old.
Very talented.
So talented. And overall, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing, how everybody just ends up, how everybody lands on their feet, moving forward. So And of course, Mo, as we know, by the way, it's a great day today. It's gonna be a great week this week. We got NBA playoffs, we got the pay-per-view, and we also had a great Monday Night Raw, including Jey Uso's first title defense. He defended the title against Seth Rollins, and it ended exactly how you would expect it. It ended in disqualification. We had a run-in from CM Punk. And now, there's rumors are starting to fly, though, right? CM Punk comes out. Jay's out there. It looks like they're going to go Logan Paul versus Jey Uso. At this point, it might be at Saturday night's main event, but do you think that maybe they're starting to run this CM Punk versus Seth Rollins feud a little too long? Or, do you think that running a tag team match will, give it some new life? I'm curious because I've seen the complaint there. Like, some people are saying they can't wait for CM Punk to get out of the Seth Rollins vortex, as they call it.
Yeah, look, I know they don't like each other, and I get the rivalry, but I think it's one of those kind of rivalries, and you might be where I'm at, where it can be revisited. But I think for now, for the immediate future, they need to back off of that. I think it's gotten a little stale, and they're not on equals. They're not on equal fronts. Seth Rollins, with everything that he did at the last pay-per-view, and now with him aligning himself with Heyman, along with Breakker, and again, I'm sure they're going to add more to that stable. He's aligned himself to make a power move. Look, I don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to happen, but we do know at some point Seth Rollins is going to take the belt off of Jey Uso. He is. Now, last night, it gave you a kind of a taste of what it could be, and maybe it's one of them things they were giving the audience a chance to see if they have any chemistry. Would it be intriguing? Yes, it showed you that it could be an interesting and an entertaining match. It can be. There were a lot of false finishes. Jay surprised me kicking out a couple times when I thought he was done. So I think it'd be a terrific match. I'm just saying ultimately it probably won't be via a clean pin. But Seth Rollins is going to be the heavyweight champion. And that's nothing against Jey Uso, who I'm a fan of. I just think that Jay had this huge WrestleMania moment. The fans clearly love Jey Uso. He's bonded to the fans, but I think they would still love Jey Uso if he were the United States champion or the Intercontinental champion. I think he's going to always have his own fair share of heat, but for the bigger story and what Heyman's getting ready to do, Seth Rollins is going to be the heavyweight champion. It's not going to be at Backlash, but it'll probably be maybe the following pay-per-view. I think they're giving Jay a decent enough little run. Like, I like it that they didn't immediately turn around and have him drop the belt. I think they're going to give him one or maybe two pay-per-views before he drops the belt, and I think that's a respectful run for Jey Uso as a solo performer.
I like the idea with. I like an idea with. What if, and hear me out, what if it's Money in the Bank? What if we have a fun ending with Money in the Bank where Seth Rollins wins the world title and Braun Breaker wins Money in the Bank? That kind of creates an interesting dynamic, right? I don't think Braun Breaker needs Money in the Bank, but the storytelling that you could do with Seth having to look over his shoulder at not only Braun Breaker, but Paul Heyman, who's always scheming and he's ready to double-cross whoever to stamp his next meal ticket. I just think there's a lot of interesting story devices you could tell making Breaker Mr. Money in the Bank.
That's very intriguing for exactly what you said. If Breaker were to win Money in the Bank, it would create that dynamic because Heyman. It's only a matter of time. Heyman's going to look at Breaker. He's going to look at Seth and go, this kid's a full decade younger. I can take out Seth and this kid can be the champ, and I could hold on to the belt for 1,000 days or weeks or whatever with this kid, right? Like, you know, it would create a fantastic dynamic. And I do think that might play out that way. I just don't think it's going to play out that way right away. Like right now, the way it looks with that stable, if you want to call it that, it seems like Breaker is kind of like little brother, and he's listening to everything Seth says or everything Heyman says. At some point, though, he's going to start listening to one of them more than the other.
Yeah, and I saw another crazy idea with Money in the Bank, Mo, and I wanted to run it by you because I thought it was pretty insane, and I was like, well, there's no way that this could work, but I thought it was interesting enough. Somebody threw out the idea: what if John Cena won Money in the Bank? Why? Because he wants to ruin wrestling and he wants to make sure that his title reign is not threatened. So I think that doing that would be interesting, but I also think it'd be a pretty bad idea. But I think it's interesting enough to talk about, like John Cena, 2-time Money in the Bank winner.
I think that would make for a really interesting storyline. I'm not saying that's impossible. This is what I will say. The way that the WWE is set up right now, especially with the current storytelling, I'm 99.9% sure whoever wins Money in the Bank is going to be a heel. It's going to be a heel just because of where the belts are and how they're set up right now. It may be Cena, but because it's going to be a heel, it ain't going to be Roman Reigns. It's not going to be the current version of Randy Orton. I can tell you who is not going to be, but you know who is a heel? Jacob Fatu's a heel. He could, even though he's carrying a belt, you don't think he wants to go big game hunting? Like, John Cena wants to ruin wrestling, I get it, but I think Jacob Fatu could ruin it in a completely different way. Like, him as a heel winning Money in the Bank. So most guys win Money in the Bank, Brett, and you notice they're very strategic, right? They're like, I'll wait for the perfect moment. I don't think Jacob Fatu's like that. If he wins Money in the Bank and there's a championship match that night, he might go out there in the middle of the match, not at the end, but in the middle of the match to go get the belt. Like, he's that dude.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I think Fatu or Braun Breaker would be fun one. I've been pushing for Mello is Money in the Bank for a while. I love a Carmelo Hayes Money in the Bank win. At this point, I don't think it's going to happen this year, but I think Carmelo could be a great guy. You start maybe give him a mid-card title run, let him win the U.S. title this year, Money in the Bank next year. I think it's coming.
He's incredibly talented. I still think he's one of the stars of the future. They kind of had him in the background only because at the top, like when you're talking about like the top 5 guys or who's eating, it's so crowded right now. There really isn't room to elevate him to that status. I'm with you. I think you can elevate him to a mid-card championship. He can be U.S. champion or intercontinental champion, but he's too talented to not have a belt. If he is going to win a belt, just for my own satisfaction, I hope it's as a heel. I don't really want Carmelo Hayes to be a face.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, Carmelo Hayes is just such a natural heel. Him as a face is just kind of awkward. It's kind of like watching Tiffany Stratton try to walk around and be a face. Like, Tiffy's fantastic, and we're going to cheer her regardless just because of the talent, but there's no denying that she's just kind of an awkward face.
She's a natural heel, though, right? You would agree? Like,
oh, yeah.
They're trying to make her a face, and you can tell she's trying to be a face. But when she was a heel, it never felt or looked like she was trying. She just was. It was natural. I wonder at some point, does she just do something to break away from that?
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing, how Money in the Bank plays out this year, because I think it's going to be fantastic. I think they're in Los Angeles, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So they're going to pull out all the stops for it.
Just for the record, I don't care who wins Money in the Bank. There's people that I want to win it, but I know who I don't want to win it. As long as LA Knight doesn't win Money in the Bank, I'm cool. Anybody else can win it, just not that guy.
It might be your worst nightmare, actually, just because it is in. I think, like I said, I think it is in LA. So
He's probably not even from LA.
Hey, but it fits the name. It still blows my mind that they didn't bring him out for WrestleMania in Los Angeles. That blew my mind, honestly.
I'm okay with that. No,
Yeah.
Look. I think that creative and Triple H, they've coming up with some interesting things. I will say this, and I wanted to ask you this. I love it that EO is being a fighting champion. I think that's interesting because most champions that wear the women's or men's heavyweight championship, what they don't do is they don't get into matches for their belt on a weekly basis. EO has taken on top talent and decided to be one of a fighting champion, which, by the way, I love it and it's intriguing, but I feel like she's setting herself up ultimately for failure because she's going to eventually come across somebody there's some really talented women out there. Like, go back a couple of matches ago against what's her name? Stephanie? Is it Stephanie Vaquer?
Oh, Stephanie Vaquer, yeah.
She's absolutely amazing. And I don't want to be caught up in prisoner of the moment. I've seen her before. I would argue that as far as a wrestler, she's EO's equal. I mean, she's unique.
Say, great to see you, Will. How you doing, sir?
What's up, Will? Oh, let me ask you this, though. So with the EO situation, and now her and Rhea, it seems like they're going to be in a tag team, right, against the young ladies from Next. What I wanted to ask you was, do you find it odd that coming out of Mania, the terrific match that they had, that we have not seen Bianca Belair at all? Like, she's like fade to black.
Yeah, a little bit. See, I it's one of those things, right? Like, I feel like she must have been planned to take like a break after Mania, because if the reasoning is, well, we have nothing for her from a creative standpoint, then yeah, that's just absolutely weird. So, I'm just going to assume that she had a vacation lined up or something, and you did like break her hand or got her injured hand. So it's weird. As long as she's like on vacation, it's not weird. But if it's anything to do with, yeah, well, we don't have anything for her right now, then at that point I'm like, well, then what are you doing? Like, right? I do not have anything for Bianca,
right? Especially coming off that terrific match at WrestleMania. Like, tell me she's taking a break or she's had an injury, but you have a lot to do with her. Even if you move her away from EO and EO holds onto the belt a little while longer, you could have your pick. You could match Bianca up versus Rhea. You can match Bianca up versus Jade Cargill. You could match Bianca Belair up against Tiffany Stratus, and I think that would be an amazing match.
See, they're doing the same thing with Roxanne. Yeah, listen, Roxanne's the future. I fucking love Roxanne. She's an absolutely terrific talent. It's kind of great to watch, right? Like, for the longest time, it's always like the men carrying the show, but kind of going forward, Mo, I'm almost more excited about the women's side of things.
I'm excited about the women's side of things for this reason. I feel like in the women division, even with all the terrific veterans and established stars, there's an opening for younger stars to compete for belts in the women's division. And I'm not so sure that's the same or the case with the men's division. Like, you don't see some brand new, I don't want to say brand new, but just say a younger star. Like we talked about Carmelo Hayes. You're not going to see Carmelo Hayes versus Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns or anything like that anytime soon. But in the women's division, I get excited each week because I do think they've opened the door up for where some of the younger talent can compete with some of the more established talent. And I love that.
No, absolutely. And listen, I gotta real quick, I'm going to ask a very unserious question, Mo. One-on-one WWE style wrestling match, because the game's about to start. Rudy Gobert versus Draymond Green. Who do you have winning?
You said WWE wrestling style match. I think that's very interesting. So I would have to assume that Draymond is the heel, right? The natural heel. I think that Rudy Gobert would carry most of the match, might be winning most of the match, but Draymond would do something to win the match, right? What's that? Foot on the ropes to get the pin, pull up the tights. He's not above poking the eye or kicking you know where. He's done that several times. Matter of fact, that might be his finishing move. We'll call it the Rattler. I think Draymond would win the match ultimately, just because Rudy would be the face, and he's a 7-foot face. The little guy, the littler guy, if you would, Draymond would find a way to win. Look, the dirty guy has more doors opened up to him for victory. The face has a lot less.
Yeah, and listen, I thought that'd just be a little bit of a fun twist. Listen, I think that would be the difference. I think Draymond would fight dirty. I think we already saw his finisher. We saw him try to bust out a sleeper hold on Rudy in the middle of a game.
He did do that.
So, listen, I think, he's absolutely going to go low, and then he's going to lock in that sleeper. Maybe Rudy does the whole valiant effort where he passes out instead of taps out. But, yeah, you know what? I think Draymond in a one-on-one match would pull out the victory.
I think he wins. But what I will say about Draymond is, I think Draymond has more wrestling moves than Goldberg.
I feel like Gobert would have like a very if you watch like Omos or like the Great Khali wrestle, I feel like he'd just be very limited to power, just straight up power moves and nerve holds.
So choke slams, power slams, maybe a suplex.
So he'll hit a couple of choke bombs and power bombs. So yeah, so you know what? I'm glad we're on the same page that Draymond would, as much as I love Rudy, I think that's Draymond's match.
I think we are 100% on the same page, and you're right. When you have a big guy like Rudy Gobert, they end up doing a lot of nerve holds to make up for the fact that they don't have a lot of wrestling moves.
Oh, I remember because I remember watching old Great Khali matches, and it was just 90% nerve holds, and it's slow. To me, that's why anytime somebody says, "Well, John Cena could never wrestle," I'm like, he got a workable match out of the Great Khali, man.
Right.
I think there's only 2 people that pulled that off.
Do you? I don't know if you ever remember this guy. He was back in the day. He was called Zeus.
Oh, yeah.
He was even stiffer than the Great Khali. He could no wrestling moves, no anything. So if he wasn't choke slamming you, if he wasn't doing this nerve move that he did from behind you, he had nothing.
Oh, when you said back in the day, I'm like, is he going to bring up the Giant Gonzalez?
Ooh, that's another one. That's a good one.
Giant Gonzalez, if nobody's ever seen it, this man has... When you talk about bad wrestling outfits, Giant Gonzalez has the worst wrestling outfit you will ever see. It is just beyond putrid. Listen, I don't know who thought it was a good idea, but they put him in this bodysuit with actual hair on it, and I
remember that.
Yeah, and I'm just what? What is happening? Why? Why is this a thing?
It's a horrible costume, and when you see him in the ring, the combination is even worse. He looks like the guy that got cut to be a Marvel evil person. You know what I mean? He didn't quite make the roster, got cut. They were like, well, we'll call you. You know what I mean? He just didn't do it. You're right. Whoever put him in that costume and he co-signed on it, wow.
Yeah, literally it's one of the biggest reasons. It's something that I've noticed too, Mo. For some reason, that just made me think also, how come Vegas just cannot have a good ending to WrestleMania? Because I'm trying to think, because that made me think, Mo, because obviously we all know what happened with, John Cena and Cody Rhodes ending. the last time they were in Vegas for a WrestleMania before that was WrestleMania 9 with the Giant Gonzalez Undertaker match.
Mm.
And that match had the infamous ending with Yokozuna beating Bret Hart and then Hulk Hogan coming out and stealing the show by getting an impromptu title match. Like, I think Vegas just might be cursed because it doesn't matter how good the show is. For some reason, the ending always falls flat in Vegas. It's kind of funny how that just happened to work out again.
Vegas has it's got some kind of wrestling hex on it. I would agree, because that WrestleMania, I don't know if it was as electric as last year's, but it was really, really good. Even the match was surprisingly good. I thought it was very well done, all the way up until the longest entrance we've ever seen.
It's so funny when they kept like panning to Cena back in the ring, and at first he's like laughing, then it's like he's slowly laughing, and then they pan up and he's looking at him like, "All right, dude, just hurry the F up!" Like, let's speed this up a little bit.
It was bizarre because at one point, instead of competing against each other, both Cena and Cody Rhodes are just watching this guy come to the ring. That was weird.
Hey, there's rumors that one of John Cena's last matches could be used to tag team with Travis Scott.
Oh, God.
And I'm just praying that that's not true. Like, there's so many things that I want to see out of this John Cena retirement run. Just, look, when it comes to old opponents, like, obviously, I think the one lock is you definitely want to see him go against CM Punk. And, you know, if you can sneak in an AJ Styles match in there, their matches were absolutely terrific, but I'd prefer to see him wrestle new opponents. And by new opponents, I don't mean I don't need to see him in like Travis Scott versus like Cody Rhodes and Bad Bunny, because I feel like that's just the match they would make, right? Take all their biggest stars, take Bad Bunny and Travis Scott, and let's throw them all in a match together.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. And I know that Bad Bunny actually has shown that he's got a little bit of ring chops. He's got a little bit. But I don't think his little bit can carry how bad Travis Scott is.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to, you know, the Cena retirement run, seeing how that plays out, but I want to give some props to somebody else. You know, sometimes, you know, we'll see a veteran absolutely cook a younger wrestler on the mic, you know, rattle them, but not only did Lyra Valkyria not get rattled by Becky Lynch coming after her on Monday, I think you can argue that she won that exchange, which I'll give her credit. Like a lot of young wrestlers, you know, when they step up on the mic against a bigger star, you know, they'll get a little rattled, but Lyra looked absolutely comfortable and right at home.
She did. And she more than held her own. Having said that, I think Becky's going to take her title. She's going to take her title. She's going to take her, especially Becky Lynch, the heel. I think she's going to take her title. And I'm just waiting for Heyman to come with the reveal that Becky Lynch is also part of. They haven't really given it a name per se, but I think it's going to be announced at some point that she's part of that faction. I think Lyra is another one of the young stars of today that she's got nothing but clear skies ahead of her. Her giving up this belt, I don't think it doesn't damage her at all, because I think eventually she'll win another belt. She'll win that belt back from Becky if they want to continue that storyline. But I don't think she's going away. I think Lyra is another one of the up and coming young stars in the women's division.
And this might be a hot take to some, but I don't really mind, because that's what we're in the business of doing. Kidding, by the way. But I think taking the belt off Lyra is the right call in this case. I think that, how do you build up a title, right? You give it an iconic feud. You give it a blood feud. You give it meaning. And I think they have one waiting in the wings. Becky keeps taking all these shots at Bayley.
Yes.
Especially in interviews. She just said knock Bayley so silly. She thinks she has to spend $100 a month to text her best friend, which, you know, Mercedes started that $100 texting service, but like, she continues to sit there and take shots at Bayley. And I think you take the title off Lyra, you put it on Becky, you get this, Becky versus Bayley feud. And I think that has the potential to just elevate the title so that, guess what? When Lyra wins it back, it'll just mean even more. So I think this is one of those situations where, because I can already see it, Becky's gonna beat Lyra, and it's gonna be, you're gonna hear right away, oh, it's Becky Hogan, brother. That doesn't work for her.
Right.
No, let's give this legs. It's the right call because you can elevate the title. You can give it meaning, give like a nice summer-long feud between Becky and Bayley, continue to, slowly move Lyra back up the ranks. And guess what? It'll mean the world when, for example, let's say at the Royal Rumble or even Saturday night's main event in December, once she wins it back. So I think that not only she will beat Lyra, but I think it's the right call for right now for her to take that title off Lyra.
Partner, you read my mind. Lyra's the first intercontinental champion for the women's division, which is great. I think it's historic. But you're right, to elevate that belt, to give it meaning to where it almost feels like being women's heavyweight champion, you do need a bigger name and you need a blood feud. You need something to be like, I want that. Like Bayley coming back, Bayley's going to come back and she's going to cut a promo where I will do everything in my power, more or less, to take the belt away from you, right? That will be, I think that's going to be a multiple match feud, and I'm here for it. I think it's great. It will build it up. And then somewhere down the line, it'll be Lyra, maybe it'll be Roxanne. One of the young stars will elevate, and they will take it off the bigger name. Like, there's going to come a time where Becky or Bayley is going to have to put one of the younger stars over, and the belt's going to mean so much more when they're done.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, maybe you don't even build it up for, Lyra. I think she'll be in the running for this title and eventually the women's world title for years to come. But I think you all could also use this as like maybe the next step. Maybe this is how you elevate, Roxanne to the next level. Maybe, in fact, that's almost perfect, right? Maybe Bayley beats Becky for the title. Then you resume that, Bayley and Roxanne feud that got randomly canceled right before WrestleMania, because they have a history. And I think that would almost be a perfect way to, if you want to go the route of Bayley winning, that almost feels like the perfect route to go to continue this theme of elevating the title. Go right from one feud where, the two clearly don't like each other to the next with Bayley and Roxanne.
I love that. I like where you're thinking. Let me ask you this, the situation with Io. Do you think that Io is going to hold on to the women's title? I guess, is she going to have a Jey Uso kind of run where she survives a couple of pay-per-views and maybe gives it up herself at Money in the Bank?
Yeah, I think she'll lose it before Money in the Bank.
Okay.
I think she'll lose it. Not before Money in the Bank. I meant to say lose it before SummerSlam.
Okay, I agree.
Because I think the money match at SummerSlam is the one-on-one between, Rhea and Bianca. I think that could be a WrestleMania, main event.
That's a main event to me.
But to me, you're trying to make both nights of SummerSlam special, night 1 and night 2. This is your first 2-night SummerSlam. To me, a great way to do that. Give the fans a first time ever. One-on-one, Rhea versus Bianca, right? Like, that's the match that people are clamoring for. And I get it if they want to save it for WrestleMania. But I also wouldn't be mad because I understand the logic if they decide, hey, let's just do this at SummerSlam and we'll make it the main event of night 1.
And what if the match is such a banger, Brett, that even the loser comes off with more heat than they had? Like, if it's as good as we think it could be when you look at both female of the women's skill sets and what they both bring to the table, and it's one of those matches where like instant match of the year, would you not run that back at WrestleMania?
Yeah, and you could literally have it main event in both, right? Like I could see it. You just run a trilogy and have matches happen at the big four. Maybe run it at SummerSlam. Okay, well let's say Rhea beats Bianca for the title. Guess what? Bianca wins the Royal Rumble. Look at that. You have your WrestleMania match set up, a rematch that everybody wants to see. So I think that it's the right move, and I wouldn't worry about it because I think you can have it main event both SummerSlam and WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think that I do think the heat that you're going to get between those two competitors is you won't be disappointed in what you're watching in the ring. I don't see it. What I'm curious about is who are they going to make? I guess who are they going to put in front of Tiffany Stratton? Do you know what I mean? Like, I get that she's getting ready to lock up with what's the big Nia, but we've kind of seen that, so I don't. That could be kind of a rivalry, but I think that it feels like they're auditioning people to be her rival. Like the match that we kind of got with her and Jade for a little bit, that was kind of intriguing. Like at some point, you are gonna put Jade in the thick of things, and I think Jade and Tiff Stratus would be a great match because Stratton would be a great match because Stratton is so dynamite in the ring. She can carry, I would say, a less seasoned talent like Jade is. Like Jade is steadily improving, but like in the men's division, most of what she does is she's relying on her power. I think she's getting better in ring. The funny thing is when you see Jade Cargill right next to Stratton, the truth of the matter is, while she might be more powerful, Stratton is actually physically bigger than her.
I worry about like a Jade, title run, jumping on that one like a little too early, because I think there's a certain expectation with being the champ, right? And I feel like if you jump on it too early before, Jade's ready for it, you could easily get the crowd to turn on her. And I'd almost watch out for that. Because, there's a certain, they're going to be all of a sudden be like, well, you're the champ, give us a great match. And, unless you're putting Jade with a smaller opponent, her in-ring work, isn't that great, or mic skills just aren't there yet. To me, it's interesting because I think Jade will be a champion, but I think it would just be better almost just to maybe hold off another year. Give her another, year of seasoning, because if you jump the gun too early with her, I just fear that they're going to, fans are going to turn on her and not in a good way.
It's funny you brought that up because you would know this as well. You'll remember this. I think that's the way the WWE universe felt when they pushed Roman Reigns too fast, right? Remember when they kind of pushed him down our throats real fast and he got they put him in a spot where I don't think his in-ring talent matched up to where they were putting him right away. And you could tell the WWE universe, they wasn't loving it right away. He had to get better in the ring, which he did. And look, the best thing that happened to him was pairing him with Paul Heyman. It elevated him and it changed him. It gave him an advocate who could do the microphone work, and he just worked on the in-ring work. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think you're right. I think Triple H and company are smart enough to realize that as talented as Jade is, it wouldn't be wise to push her too far. That doesn't mean she can't be in big matches, but I don't think she's going to be wearing a belt, not an individual belt anyway, anytime soon.
By the way, I know this is a wrestling show, but I want to give a quick update. The Cavs are down 2-0 now. Tyrese Hall.
What? What?
In the most insane sequence, Mo, Tyrese Halliburton hit a first free throw to make it a 2-point game, intentionally missed the second one. They got the offensive rebound, then Hallie hit a step back three to walk it off.
These particular NBA playoffs, especially in the second round, have been wild. Look, I said this in our group chat, in wire to wire group chat. I don't want to get too far away from wrestling, so I'll make it quick. And because I'll stand on it. I said that if the Cavs go down 2-0, series is over. I believe the series is over.
I say, yeah. I
I believe
mean,
the series is over. The Pacers are playing with a confidence, Brett. Like, remember, I think we got to remind people. I know we're talking wrestling people, but I want to remind people they went to the conference finals last year. I want to remind people, like, they didn't just show up. And like, I get it why they're not ranked as better than the Celtics. And the regular season said they're not better than the Cavs. And the injury gods show up whenever they want to show up. I said if you don't have Darius Garland, you're not going to win. If you don't have Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, oh my God. And now you're down 2-0, and you still don't know if Garland's going to play at all. They're done.
yeah, and Donovan Mitchell dropped 48 in a loss, so I'm not sure.
He can't do more than that. He can't do more than that.
So, yeah, I just wanted to give that quick update. That is absurd. And just another absurd sequence to end that game.
You know what? We'll make it quick. It's quick NBA talk. My partner, I'm going to start calling you the NBA genius. We had this conversation about individual talents and where we rank them. Partner, can you remind the people real quick what you said about Tyrese Halliburton?
Oh, he's the 11th. My ranking on him, he was.
Yes, sir.
Before the season started, I predicted he'd be the 11th best player in the NBA, and I honestly think that he started out slow, but he's making me look really, really good right now.
Oh, he's making you look better than good, because right now he's ahead of where you had him, man. He's more than the 11th best player right now. Right now, he's the scariest guy in the Eastern Conference. And I didn't hear myself saying that, but I saw what he did in round 1. And I saw what he's done in round 2. It's weird about Halliburton, right? He kind of coasts through the first half of games. But in clutch time situations, I don't want to drive people crazy, but in clutch time situations, he's looking very Jalen Brunson-like. Just saying.
No, absolutely. And then, it's always fun to put crazy games like that.
Oh my God, they blew that lead. Oh my God,
I feel so bad. I feel so bad for Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, they came back on 20 to pull that off. So
I feel so bad for Cottrell. Sorry, buddy.
I'm sorry, Cottrell.
Sorry, buddy.
We might never not hear from Cottrell for like another week and a half after that one.
Man. Whew. But in wrestling news,
pretty much.
In wrestling news, getting back on wrestling. First of all, love Raw the other night, and I know you enjoyed the promo that Paul Heyman cut. That was amazing. When he came out there, only Paul Heyman could cut that promo and make it work.
Yeah, Paul Heyman is just. What can we? I don't know what else I can say more about Paul Heyman that I already have. Paul Heyman to me. He's one of the greatest of all time on a microphone. He can sell any match. He can put anybody. Well, I'm going to say almost anybody over because. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny, by the way, Gene. We literally took a break from wrestling to talk about the ending of that game. So, yeah, Paul Heyman can almost put anybody over unless you're really bad, unless you're like a Ryback or Curtis Axel. But he's just a generational talent on the microphone who can just get anybody over. It's insane what Paul Heyman can do.
And when he cuts one, and you're the on the other side of it, like Jay is on the opposing side of this, and Jay's decent on the mic, but we both would agree he's not one of the GOATs on the mic. But it didn't hurt Jay by just standing there and taking it and listening to it, because Jay did have one great line when Heyman was done. Great line, one-liner. He said, "Are you okay? Are you all right?" Like, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah, and that's perfect. That's exactly what you should do with Jey Uso against Paul Heyman. The worst thing you can do is have Jey Uso attempt to go bar for bar with Paul Heyman, because
Right, correct.
that's just how you like kind of throw him under the bus. So I am curious, Mo. I figured have a little fun, and I feel like there's got to be another match coming, because right now there's only 4 matches on the Backlash card.
They're holding out. They're holding out for sure.
I feel like we're gonna have another 1 or 2 announced, which I'm gonna throw our predictions on the Meaty Boyz page. We'll add that in if they do, Friday. But I want to get your predictions for the, now announced matches. So, of course, we have a Fatal 4-Way match, which is happening thanks to, Solo Sikoa sticking his foot in his mouth and getting extra challengers for Fatu. Jacob Fatu, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, LA Knight, Fatal 4-Way match. Mo, who do you got?
I got the champion. I got the champion. Jacob Fatu it's for his belt, right?
Yeah, it's for the U.S. title.
He will walk out. He will walk in the champion. He will walk out the champion. The only way Jacob Fatu doesn't walk out the champion is if Solo kicks his back in, which I'm not so sure he won't.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think this one's pretty easy. I think you have Fatu, walk out with the title and move on. Kyle asked, who takes the pin?
Well, that's easy. LA Knight.
I agree with Mo on this one. I think McIntyre and Priest take, each other out. It leaves it to Fatu and LA Knight, and I think LA Knight takes the pin. I think LA Knight's just so over at this point, taking a pin against Fatu just doesn't hurt him in this situation. So, of course. And then Lyra versus Becky. Mo, I think we kind of touched on this earlier, and we both agree that it's just Becky, right?
It's Becky. Look, I think the match itself won't disappoint us. So I think there'll be multiple false finishes. It will be close, but this is heel Becky. So she's not going to win by a clean pin, but she will win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we'll agree with this third match too. Randy Orton versus John Cena. I don't think they're ending John Cena's title reign a month after he wins it.
No, I think that it will be one of the kind of matches where Randy Orton will have multiple chances to win. He might get 4 or 5 false finishes. John Cena is going to find a way to pull the match out. John Cena's title run, I believe, is going to last a lot longer than most people think. I'm going to lean with John Cena. I think that John Cena is going to walk away with the belt. I know that in wrestling history, they've always said at some point when you leave or you're going to retire, you're supposed to give it up to whoever. I think John Cena, like he said, he's going to ruin wrestling. I think he's going to leave with the belt.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think I think it's a very real chance he walks out with the belt, which means I think he, role reversal. I think he cheats to beat Randy Orton in this one.
Facts.
And of course, maybe the most controversial match on the show because people want, more for Gunther. Gunther versus Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee's first match since WrestleMania 38 when he wrestled Austin Theory and Vince McMahon. So,
let me put it this way: Gunther is better than Austin Theory and Vince McMahon combined. Matter of fact, throw Shane in there too. I don't know how this is going to be a good match. Like, it's weird because Gunther is clearly the heel, Pat McAfee's the face. But for this to be a good match, Pat McAfee's going to have to do some underhanded stuff. There's no way that they're not equally matched in any way, shape, or form. So he's going to have either outside help or all kind of stuff going on to make it a compelling match. Because this match could last 5 minutes if there's not going to be anything to help Pat McAfee. So I have to assume somehow, some way, someone interferes and helps Pat McAfee. I still think Gunther ends up winning, but the outside help makes it a longer match than it normally would be.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to this match, I think it should be short and sweet. I think, have Gunther dominate the match. Pat hits a little bit of a comeback, but then Gunther just chokes him out. this is going to be an interesting summer for Gunther. I feel like people are going to feel bad for him because I think, I could see him continuing to choke out Pat McAfee after the match. And
that's going to happen. You can already count that.
And once again, this is going to be interesting because I just genuinely believe that this is going to be the lead-in angle for Gunther versus Goldberg. It's coming. He's got his retirement match, and Gunther's the only guy they've teased a feud with. So I have to believe.
So are we going to get the Goldberg tease this weekend at the pay-per-view, right? Is it when the match is over and they can't make Gunther let him go, are we going to hear the music?
I almost think so, because like with the backlash being kind of like a little underwhelming right now, like card-wise, like 4 matches, like it almost feels like they have to have something big in the chamber, and I feel like they're going to convince themselves that big, thing in the chamber to get people to tune in, or at least pop views, will be the surprise appearance of Goldberg.
And look,
I could very well see him showing up to Missouri this Saturday.
Showing up, coming in, hitting Gunther with the jackhammer, right? Right? You can see that. Maybe even the spear. Yeah. Maybe even the spear, like the whole Goldberg bit to set up the pay-per-view match, which, by the way, I don't think Goldberg's going to win, but, we'll see. I guess you're right. This is a Goldberg farewell tour. If they serve Gunther up to be like bait for Goldberg's farewell tour, I don't think that's right, because I think Gunther is one of the top individual talents in the WWE. I think he deserves better than that. If you want to say that match ends in a DQ where neither one of them takes a pin, but Goldberg gets the win, I'm okay with that. But to say that Goldberg would go into a ring and out beat Gunther, you and I both know at this stage of his career, every Goldberg match probably can't last more than 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that whatever his retirement match is, if it's against, like, I think he has to lose. Like, unless, like, you're just throwing, like, somebody, like, maybe, like, I don't know, The Miz or somebody who, if they lose, whatever.
Why does everybody beat up Miz?
Like, if you're throwing Goldberg against somebody like Gunther, or, there's people throwing around the other name I heard people throw around, like, well, because, WWE likes to do the spear versus spear thing with Goldberg. So people are throwing around, like, well, maybe it's Braun Breaker. If you're going against one of these young up-and-coming talents, Goldberg has to lose. Like, you can't feed these guys for, like, the Goldberg retirement match. So
if he goes up against Breaker, not only does he lose, but that's a very fast match. That's a very fast match. Like, I'm just saying, Breaker is a high-impact wrestler. Goldberg has like 3 high-impact moves. He's not really a wrestler. It can't last but so long anyway. If you want him to go out on a bang and win, then put him up against Austin Theory or somebody like that.
Yeah, and I think Theory would actually be perfect because he'll oversell everything Goldberg does and make him look like a monster.
Right.
So, then that's kind of my point. Like, if Goldberg wants to go out against the young guy, then yeah, he loses. But if he wants to win, yeah, trot out like Austin Theory or, Grayson Waller, somebody who can just afford to take the loss, and everybody's like, don't care, we got to see Goldberg one more time.
I'll go you a step better. You can haul out Theory and Waller, and Goldberg can win.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And Mo, one of my favorite bits happened this past weekend too, by the way. My favorite, notorious, by the way, it's huge sarcasm on the word favorite, notorious truth teller Hulk Hogan was at it again. And he goes, well, you see, I was the first guy to face Brock Lesnar after his return from UFC. And to me, that's the funniest thing ever. Like, he does it again. He does this thing where he needs to make up stories to stay relevant, I guess. Because I'm like, dude, Hulkster, do you not realize we all had, cable? Like, We all watched Brock Lesnar return and wrestle John Cena at Extreme Rules in 2012. Like, and I say that to say this, right? And I kind of wish that he would just stop. Like, I feel like Hulk Hogan, he's already ruined his reputation with the whole racial comments that he made back in like 2015, and just not really apologizing for them. But I feel like if I'm Hulk Hogan, I'm just kind of starting to. I should just shy away from the spotlight, step out of the media. Like, we're at a point where he's just doing so much more harm to his reputation than good. Like, if I'm him, like, at some point, like, I think it'd just be better if he stepped out of the spotlight at this point.
I can only hope he hears and listens to you. I would say the same. Let's take the same advice and send it the way of Ric Flair too. These are two iconic wrestlers, two of the biggest, most iconic wrestlers in wrestling history. But they need to walk away and really walk away. And I get it. They're attention whores, and being in that business and being at the pinnacle like they were for so many years, it is hard to let go of that type of adulation. But you guys are in your 70s. It's over, bro. You gotta let it go. Enjoy the rest of your life. And the cool thing is, we will talk about you from time to time because we'll have these conversations about this great wrestler or they all time. You guys have stamped your way into the history of wrestling. You're good. You're good. I wish they both would walk away, because the fact that they don't walk away and they keep talking and they keep trying to get in front of cameras, it hurts their legacy.
Yeah, and absolutely. And Mo, we only have a couple minutes left. And I wanted to kind of switch over from like, kind of more selfish wrestlers like Hogan and Ric Flair to just somebody who's, selfless, like all about the people and just an overall great human being. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, but we're also on Roku TV, and that wouldn't have happened without a good friend of ours, Mac, who unfortunately passed away this past weekend. So overall, like, he's helped open doors for this network that wouldn't have been open, without him. Overall, patient, just a genuinely good human being who this show being streamed out on Roku and just any show streamed out on Roku from wire to wire, that just wouldn't have happened without Mac. So I wanted to just take a minute to show some love to Mac, and, thoughts and prayers out to, Linda. So, yeah, I just wanted to take a minute to, shout out Mac.
I love that. Look, rest in power to Mac McGrath. Our heartfelt prayers go out to Linda and the family. Matt McGrath, he's not just was an advocate for our show, not just an advocate for our network, but for a lot of up-and-coming podcasters trying to establish themselves. Like, look, as far as I'm concerned, Matt McGrath, he's the godfather of what we're doing of this, because he was trying to put everybody in, not just us, but many others. Like, he was everybody's favorite advocate. So I just want to shout him out for everything that he's done for us, everything he's done for others. And he will be sorely missed. And thoughts and prayers go out to his family.
Absolutely. And then, before we get up on out of here, Mo, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I just really do appreciate everybody in the chat, Kyle, Gene, everybody for coming out. Always a blast to sit up here. We're just two guys who love wrestling, so we appreciate everybody that joins us every Tuesday night at 9. Just make sure you check out all the other great talent that we have at Wire to Wire. We are constantly growing, evolving as a network on Wire to Wire, and we cover everything. And when we say Gene Walczak's the NFL genius, it's because it's so. When I tell you that College Cottrell knows anything about college football, it's because it's so. Alex is amazing when it comes to everything MLB. Like, this is such a talent, well well filled out roster that we have at Wire to Wire, and we appreciate every time you guys share, like, follow. We appreciate that. Continue to do that. We thank you.
Absolutely. And you can check Mo and I out this upcoming Thursday. I'll just straight up ask you right now, Mo, you down for a watch along? We got Warriors Wolves game 2 at 7:30.
Count me in, partner. I'm ready.
Watch along Thursday, 7:30, Warriors Wolves. That's going to be the and one episode. But we'll have also just fun, interesting little side topics in between commercial breaks. We'll give you a fun halftime breakdown of the game. But otherwise, we thank you guys for tuning in. Gave you wrestling, a little bit of hoops. So we hope you guys enjoyed your time with us, and we hope you guys have a wonderful day.